I'd like you to close your eyes for just one moment with me and think back to when you were a child, when you crawled into bed at night, under the covers. You got a gentle good night from a loving family member, likely, and you drifted off to sweet dreams. For many children, that is not the reality of the nighttime. Many children have predators that come for them under the cover of darkness. When I met Jake, he was 12 years old and accompanied by his 2 younger brothers. Jake and his brothers came into our family room, and his 2 brothers started playing with all the toys and making a lot of commotion, and Jake fell asleep. My coworker and I speculated, why would Jake fall asleep like that in a room with all that noise? And then we thought, well, maybe he has an illness. But when we heard Jake's story, we understood. You see, when Jake is in his bedroom at night, the one that he shares with his 2 younger brothers, his father comes for him to sexually abuse him. Now, Jake hates that his father comes for him, but he fears that if he doesn't please his father, he'll begin to molest his younger brothers. So Jake waits and hates the night. When I met Bree, she was 14 years old. She was a young teenager with long dark hair and really angry eyes, very expressive. Bree was living in a juvenile detention center. She said that she'd run away and stolen a vehicle. That's what landed her there. Bree began her story, which was a long story of victimization and multiple molesters. She began it at about 5 years old when she was molested by her father. That went on for quite a while, and Bree said, not unlike Jake, she tried very hard to please her father, because if she didn't please her father, she feared that in fact he'd molest her mother, or beat her mother, or molest her mother. So Bree tried to please him. But at about 7 years old, her father disappeared. Now, you and I would think that Bree's life got better when her dad left, but unbelievably, it got worse. From that point on, Bree was molested multiple times by multiple offenders. Bree talked about how when she committed delinquent acts, she didn't connect them to her abuse. But when she landed in detention, she felt safe. She could sleep at night. She softly wondered where she'd go next, where she wouldn't be raped. At the Red River Children's Advocacy Center last year, we saw 500 kids that came to us with stories of abuse. Most of them were stories of sexual abuse. Now, you likely know a victim of child sexual abuse. Experts tell us that 1 out of 10 kids is victimized before the age of 18. You know, age doesn't matter to predators. Predators will prey on any age victim. Our medical director can tell you a story of a 3-month-old baby that he treated for sexual abuse. Our statistics tell us most of the kids we see are under the age of 12, and the national average is about 9. These kids live in every one of your neighborhoods. They go to school with your children and your grandchildren. In most cases, the abusers are someone that these children know or trust, even love, like a father or a mother, an older sibling, a grandparent, a babysitter, a neighbor. In just about every case, the offenders use bribery or threats to keep the children quiet. Now, folks tell us that there are many children that will never be able to share the accounts of sexual abuse until long into adulthood. Because you see, child sexual abuse is hard to talk about. Children that suffer from, or children that are victimized suffer from trauma. And trauma is something that experts tell us literally floods the brain with toxic stress hormones and impacts the way we think and the way we react. Researchers tell us that kids that are sexually abused without intervention will likely have a lifetime of negative consequences. Such things as chronic illness, lost opportunities, broken promises, addiction, mental illness. At the Red River Children's Advocacy Center and 800 advocacy centers like it in the United States, we work really hard to give children a place where they can begin or be part of that process of recovery from that trauma. Along with our partners, law enforcement, social services, mental health professionals, medical professionals, and prosecutors, we all do everything we can to see every child. But we know we don't reach them all. I told you 1 out of 10 children, and that we saw 500. You do the math, we're missing a lot of children. So we keep working. We keep trying to do just that. But I want you to understand that it doesn't take very long when you're working in the field of intervention to realize or wonder how you can continue to serve and honor these victims without taking steps to stop the abuse. And so we're going to wage a war. We're going to wage a war to stop sexual abuse. We want the full force of our community. At the end, it won't take a week, it won't take a year, it may not happen in a generation, it may take 2 generations. But in the end, we can have a community where child sexual abuse is taboo and where prevention is our priority. Just imagine. To this end, we have great, great allies. We have, and in every community there's allies. In our community, we have Dakota Medical Foundation and our Rape and Abuse Crisis Center, Prevent Child Abuse North Dakota. We've enlisted, they've helped us to enlist the services or the help to build the model from an expert from Massachusetts. And we have local experts that are helping us on prevention. And very important part of that strategy is to educate every adult. Every adult should be armed with knowledge. Traditionally, we've armed children with the knowledge of how to tell an okay touch from a not okay touch. And that's important education, and that has to continue. But now we need adults to know how to react. We need adults to understand what is a grooming behavior, a behavior that an offender or an abuser uses to ensnare a child. We need adults to recognize those behaviors and be able to take steps to stop them before the acts of sexual abuse ever happen. Once parents and other adults are armed with this knowledge, they can protect children. And they can share it with other adults. And pretty soon you've got our whole community and the next community. So what can you do? What can you do to fight the war? Well, number 1, you can get educated. You can get educated. There's prevention classes and prevention training available, but you can go to websites like Enough Abuse and Prevent Child Abuse America and get educated about the grooming behaviors that I mentioned. Learn about them. Quit thinking that this doesn't happen here because it does. And remember, with education, you can begin fighting the fight to protect kids. Advocate. Number 2, advocate for safe child policies, to hold offenders accountable, and to when treatment is appropriate, to see that we find it. And raise up the survivors. Honor the victims and the adults who protect them. And lastly, don't ever give up. It is going to be a very long fight, and it's going to take every one of you and outside this room, the world. I believe that the most despicable thing that a human being can do to a child is to sexually abuse them. And I believe that we are all responsible to stop this from happening. And that we can. Every child should have the opportunity to go to bed at night safely and peacefully. And we can make that happen. Thank you.